gone.
You see it. You hesitate. I don't. Eyes on the room, everything slows. Velvet shadows, nobody knows. You guard your throne, you guard your crown. But I already marked it down. Step through smoke, step through light. Every heartbeat locks in tight. You hold the line, you make your stand. But it's already in my hand. No waiting, no permission, no hesitation. Tonight, I get what I want. I always get what I want. I get what I want. I always get what I want. I get what I want. I always get what I want. I get what I want. I always get what I want. Your rules fall apart when I arrive. Desire wakes up, comes alive. You say it's luck, you call it fate.
What's up, guys? What is up? What is up? I like I always say, right? All music that I'm playing on my channel is by Evil Eddie. Please check him out. Please check out his channel. Right? Great music. I love it. Right? Really good music, I believe. Him and his band. All right, so tonight I have quite a few videos that I will be reacting to, essentially showing off the insanities, delusions, hypocrisies of feminists, of your modern day women, modern day feminists. I've said this countless times that I believe feminism is a poison on this earth. Okay. One, I believe feminism is the advocacy for women's power, right? They're not fighting for equality. They're fighting for power, okay? And in my honest opinion, it has made women stupider, okay? Made women unbearable. Made women just honestly a terrible, terrible types of people, okay? And we're going to see why I believe what I believe. Okay. Examples. Now, like, I'm going to say this. I don't believe all women are like this. Of course, right? All women aren't terrible. All women, no. But I believe the women that have clearly been poisoned by feminism, those women are absolutely heinous. Absolutely heinous. And in my opinion, you know, they are the root of a lot, if not all, of our modern day problems. And, you know, we'll be talking about this, right? We'll be talking about this, but I wouldn't mind them going extinct. Now, extinct in a way that, you know what? They don't produce the next generation, okay? Because these women are poisonous. So I don't believe that these women should be producing our next generation. How you guys doing? I hope you guys are doing well. Oh, before I continue, right? I don't know if you guys saw one of my shorts I just did today. I posted and it was pretty much a rant about taxes. I hate blue states. I really do. We are being overtaxed. We are being overtaxed. Okay? It's, man, if Trump can do anything, it's just tax us a lot less, right? I mean, like a overall less tax. If he could do that, he would be the greatest president, in my opinion. Right? If he could do that, I don't know how that's working because, you know, Democrats will fight you on it. Democrats want to tax you to death. because I had to pay a hefty amount in taxes, and I'm just I don't know. It's just depressing, right? It's just depressing. Being taxed to death is absolutely disgusting, in my opinion, because how can you, right, move up the ladder when you're being taxed at every step of the way, okay, and heavily taxed? So if you're trying to, pass a certain threshold, you're being taxed to kick yourself back down. I just think that it's, you know, disgusting. And it's overtaxing, right? I believe it's overtaxing. Particularly, this is why, I will get even more mad when I see things like fraud in our system, right? In our government, in our, with any kind of social programs, fraud or misuse of our money. Are you kidding me? You're overtaxing us and you're not even using our money correctly, right? You're not even using our money that actually benefits the people. Either you pocket your own, you pocket your own, you fatten your own pockets, or you use it on stupid ass programs. It's just a little rant because I had to pay a good amount in taxes, so I'm just, I was just ranting a little bit. All right, let's get started. I saw this one today, and I just had to say something. I just had to say something. Well, like I said, right, I believe feminism is the root of a lot of our problems, right? The root is a lot of our problems. And what's the use? What's the amazing use of women? Women aren't building our buildings, right? They're not maintaining or building our infrastructures. So what's so amazing about women when they're like this, when they're like this?
The CDC just reported that the birth rate has declined.
You're welcome. For the first time in U.S. history, there are more babies being born to women in their 40s than girls in their teens. Well done, ladies. Well done.
There are more women waiting to have children until they are ready,
And younger women are more focused on getting an education and a career before they start having families.
let's keep it going, ladies.
Let's set our sights on another decline for 2025.
The CDC.
My title is correct. Women are becoming stupider. So, more women are having kids in their early 40s than in their early 20s or mid 20s. Great. Let's see women's logic. Have kids when you're at almost the worst time to have kids, right? Where it's a danger to you and to your kids. And it's harder to have kids, right? Yeah, more women are laughing, man. What is up, my brother? What is up? Yeah, more women are having kids later in life. Great, but comparatively to women that are younger. But guess what? A lot of those women can't have it, right? At best, they may have one kid. And then now you think about this. We will go the way what Korea is doing, right? What South Korea is doing. There's reports, there are studies, there are talks that in 50 to maybe 100 years they will go extinct as an ethnicity, right? In South Korea would go extinct. Feminism, woo, right? Amazing. Birth rates are low. Only women, only feminists can cheer the decline of our nation. Great. You want to focus on your career? Amazing. Focus on your career for what? What do you do with your career? All right. Guess what? Birth rates are low. Marriage rates are low. Divorce rates are high. Amazing accomplishments by feminists. Amazing. Absolutely stupid. And this is the problem, right? I say fine, right? Let these types of women die out. Don't produce the next generation because, right? IVF becomes harder. Giving birth naturally becomes harder. Getting pregnant naturally becomes harder, why give your kid a permanent disability? That's yes. You will also right have a higher chance to incur some kind of disability. Okay, as you get older, your eggs get not as fertile, right? And women don't necessarily have the same benefits or the same likelihood of getting like a man that's like, I don't know, 10, 20 years younger than her to have a kid with, right? That doesn't necessarily happen all that commonly. So yeah, although your eggs are whittling, it's not like you're going to get like fresh young sperm, right? No, that doesn't usually happen like that. So yeah, just a whole lot of stupidity by women.
The CDC just reported that the birth rate has declined.
We did it again. The birth rate continues to decline. The day they drop the numbers is my personal Super Bowl because I've been working towards this all year. This is the day I get to see the fruits of my efforts. How did all my hard work manifest this year? Another 1% decrease in the birth rate. Thank you very much. Once again, women in their 30s and 40s are having more kids when they feel like they're ready because
No, they're not having more kids, right? 30s and 40s, they're not having more kids. They're starting to have kids, right? Correct her stupidity, right? Women in their 30s and 40s are not having more kids because they didn't have kids to begin with. No, they're starting to have kids. And guess what? When at that age, when you're having a kid in your 40s, there's a higher chance that, like we said, disabilities, and a higher chance that you won't have more than just one. You won't have more than one kid, right? Great. Right? Such intelligence by modern day feminism. So no, you're not having more kids in your 30s and 40s. No, you're starting to have kids in your 30s and 40s. This is why these women are stupid. Hey, DA, you saw the video, the small spaceman talking, the Emperor of North Korea? That is hilarious. How he talks. I didn't see that one.
of access to birth control, women in their teens and their 20s are waiting to have kids or deciding not to have them at all. Just want to say thank you for another amazing year. We did it. We did it again.
Set our sights on another decline for 2025.
We did it. Let's go for another in 2026.
The CDC.
Now, here's the thing, right? Am I crying if we have less baby mamas? No, I'm actually supportive of that. If we can have less baby mamas, I'm supportive of that. But let's be honest, okay? Let's see. Let's be honest. I don't say that I don't say that I'm not like all for us decreasing the amount of baby mamas. Great, right? But let's be honest, it's that are women making actually good decisions in life? Or are they great? They're holding off on having kids just randomly. Yeah, but still, we still have stupid people, right, getting pregnant. And this is why women like this are fighting for abortion rights, because they want to keep this mindset where they don't have to suffer for their stupidity. Okay, these women are still doing stupid things. They're still being stupid, right?
I feel like it accurately represents.
Well. The U.S. birth rate hits record lows as nearly half of 30-year-old women remain child-free. My question is, why are we using this picture?
I like this picture. I don't feel like it accurately represents my feelings about the situation. There are some photos that I would like to submit for reconsideration. How about this one? I think I look pretty good here. This is my friend's sailboat that we're going to take to Catalina this summer. How about this one? This one is from when I was on a cruise. This one's a great one. This is from when I went to the Chaperone concert. And this one would be better than the stupid one that they used. This is a stupid photo. It's propaganda. This makes it seem like we are not actively choosing this life. This is the reaction I would have.
I don't mind, right? Like I said, I don't mind us having less single mothers. I really don't. I just find it that are these women actually tell that to Pookie, Ray Ray, Chad, Jamal, Chad, Wong, Chad, right? Let's say if it's actually like, to be honest, it's not decreasing the baby mama situation by a whole lot. Now, numbers are down slightly. Where is it? Let's see. While the rate of single mother households in the US increased substantially during the second half of the 20th century, growing from 9% of children living with single parents in the 1960s to roughly 28%, right, in 2012. While this share increased for decades, data shows that rates have stabilized or slightly dropped the past decade, with 1 in 5 families. Yeah, so it's a slight decline. Okay, great. But we still have this, I believe a baby mama, right? Women being stupid epidemic.
When I say life is so, like, man, we be making some dumb ass fucking decisions. It's like, I know I gotta keep my baby and I gotta do what's the best and I just gotta live, but like, I just, fuck. That's the worst shit in the world, bro. Bringing another baby into this life without having a fucking husband. I don't know why I'm doing this again. I fucking can't do it. God, I can't do it. When I say life is so, like, man, we be making some dumb ass fucking decisions. It's like, I know I gotta keep my baby and I gotta do what's the best and I just gotta live, but like, I just...
So, right, a woman in her 30s, right, in her early 30s, women aren't, this is a thing where, let's be honest, I don't think that the women that aren't having kids are being smart. Then they're not necessarily not having kids out of being smart. Okay? They're just having kids because they value other things besides kids, which is fine. But it doesn't mean that they're doing it by being smart, right? It's not like, oh, you know what? I want to be in a relationship. I want to find a stable man. And I'm going to take my time with being with a stable man. Okay? Developing a relationship, being smart about it, and whatever, right? Developing my career, developing whatever, so I can have a family. No, they're not really being like that. They're just having fun in their youth, right? Sleeping with a bunch of men. These women are still sleeping with a whole bunch of men, okay? And focus on their career, and then pushing it off, finding a partner, right? And a family later on in their 30s and 40s. You push it until you are at, honestly, the worst time in your life, biologically, okay, to give a child, to have, start having a child. Hey, if this is the intelligence of women, it is what it is.
The UK had...
But this is a thing where if women don't want to have kids, which is fine. I'm not supporting women just having kids willy-nilly. But what I would say is that I think
has just announced one of the most significant changes to jail terms in decades. As of today, they will be scrapping...
No, not this one. Sorry. Which one was it? Sorry about that one, but it's this video, right? If women want to not start a family, they should be inscripted, right? Women should be across the world, right? Across the world, the Ukraine, you know, Thailand, wherever, women should be, you know, put into the military draft. Man, Thailand has a gay problem. They definitely have a gay problem. But if you can include gay men, you should include women as well. That's definitely a thing where you should include women as well. I really think so. Hey, make it free, right? Make it equality. I mean, right? Women want equality. Don't want to have kids. They want to focus on their career. Okay, but you will. I'm not saying America having that, right? But if we ever, right? I mean, we gotta be honest. If it ever happens, it will be men that will be drafted, right? If it ever happens, it will be men that will be drafted. Women do not have the fear of it. This is it's a draft in Thailand. So they do a drawing, right? A raffle drawing kind of thing. If you get red, you get enlisted. If you get black, you get exempted. A lot of them are kind of gay, right? It's kind of really gay with how they is, but I mean, it's not like you're going to a war or anything. Yeah, it's weird as shit, but whatever. I mean, I always think that I think Thailand has a gay problem. They do. It's like weak ass Asian men, which is kind of sad. It really is. I think they would benefit from going to the military. I think a lot of these men would actually benefit from going to the military because let's be honest, you're not fighting no fucking war, right? You're not going to be in any war. So really suck it up, right? If I was, what is these men? 22? Yeah. If I get drafted, I would be fucking fine. Man, I'll be fine with it, right? Particularly in places like Thailand or, you know, places that most likely that you won't see a war, right? You won't see battle because they're fighting nobody. But yeah. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you, Laughing Man. I love you, my brother. Thank you for being here. Okay, this is a video. This video I was going to show before but I skipped it. I mean, too premature. All right, so I wanted to talk about these. I honestly believe this is the work of feminism, which is another point where I believe feminism is evil.
The UK has just announced one of the most significant changes to jail terms in decades. As of today, they will be scrapping most short-term jail sentences, meaning the majority of criminals who would usually get up to a 1-year prison sentence will now receive no more than a suspended sentence. Now, the main reason, they simply don't have enough space. I mean, last year, they were even forced to release around 57,000 criminals early because of this, 262 of which were freed in error, including some convicted of sexual assault against minors. But now they're approaching it.
Great. So you release 200 and so heinous criminals because you want to release 50,000 low-level criminals.
From the other angle too, and courts have been advised to stop handing out short-term jail sentences unless there are exceptional circumstances. Rehabilitation experts cited by the government argue that short-term jail sentences are ineffective anyway because they do little in reducing reoffending. They argue that community-based alternatives may work better and are now expected to become more of a central element in sentencing in the UK going forward. But the question is, do you guys agree with this decision or not? The UK...
Here's my thing, right? Here's my thing. Why aren't we deleting heinous criminals? Oh, you know, DA, I was getting a card certified for my niece like a Pokemon. How is it? I don't know nothing about those grades, but I see a few in your... I mean, like, I love it, right? I mean, I love to grade, I love to grade anything, you know, geek related, right? I would definitely... if you're doing it for your niece, right, I would definitely do something low tier, right? Don't do anything expensive, overly expensive. There are plenty of you know, cards that aren't extremely expensive. To be honest, I wouldn't even get it. I wouldn't even go buying or submitting a card to be graded. I would just, you know, buy a graded card on eBay. So yeah, this is the thing where I think it's still, like I was gonna say, right? I think why didn't we just delete? I'm not saying we, but why? This is my problem. Why aren't we just deleting heinous criminals? I always find it the absolute idiotic for us to just, I don't know, give these heinous criminals lifelong sentences on the taxpayer's dime. They should be deleted. These criminals, yeah, maybe a criminal that has 1 year, maybe community service. Okay, I get it. To be honest, if a criminal is going to receive 5 years, he should definitely receive 5 years, right? But a criminal, maybe a 1 year, yeah, maybe some kind of you know, community service or whatnot. I just don't think that, you know, rehabilitation works all that well, particularly not in, you know, I don't really see it anywhere that's effective. So, you know, but I just think that this is a slippery slope, you know, where we are being light on crime. And my problem is being light on crime is already a detriment. We saw the ramifications in California, right? How even though like, oh, these thief charges are, you know, so they're not that big of a deal, but hey, it's made corporations go bankrupt. It's hurt small businesses as well. It's hurt neighborhoods. It's ramp up crimes. Like, oh, I can steal, but you know, I can steal a whole bunch of shit. No, I'm not getting arrested for it. That's only going to create lawlessness, right? That's only going to create chaos. So I don't know. I don't think this is a good thing, and I think this is a very slippery slope because things like this can lead into things like this.
So I would want to see the complete abolition of the prison system in Scotland. Prisons are not safe, they're violent, they're really poor for people's health and well-being, particularly if you're a woman, and they fail to support rehabilitation. So actually they don't make those of us who are not breaking the law safer either. So people are rehabilitated, they do reoffend. So we would definitely, that's an ultimate goal for the Greens, is to not have the prison system as it is right now. In the meantime, we would massively want to reduce the number of people we are sending to prison. So I would want to see the complete abolition of the prison.
What would you do to these people? Right? The abolishment of prisons. Okay. So what are you going to do? Rehabilitate killers? Right? Killers, murderers, I don't know, abusers? Really? I swear to God, it's like there was this thing.
So many other Americans.
We all know about this one, right?
So many other Americans, I have this absolutely horrific image burned into the back of my head for the rest of my life of 23-year-old Irina Zertuska in her final moments before being slaughtered by a career criminal for no reason other than being white. Irina came to the United States as a Ukrainian refugee, genuinely in search of a better life. And what did she get? She got leftist activist judges consistently putting criminals before that of the actual victims, leading to her own demise as her attacker walked away saying, I got that white. And now the leftist activist judges are at it yet again, deeming him incompetent to stand trial all of a sudden.
We about to fact check this.
Goody.
What the hell are you talking about? First, the trial for DeCarlos Brown isn't even over. The trial is on pause because he's currently deemed incompetent to stand trial. Which is true because not only was he evaluated by doctors, DeCarlos Brown Jr. literally has a history of mental health issues.
Where
was that history when he was released 14 times after being arrested?
You're not right. Ain't that the liberal party, right? Liberals, right? You want to abolish, I mean, a little bit different, but you can see the correlation, right? You want to abolish prisons. Guess what happens, right? Because you don't want these criminals in our prison system. Okay, now it ends in the death of a woman. Death of a woman. I thought your party cares about women, right? But it doesn't seem like you do. Right? You only care about your agenda. That's it. You don't care about women. You don't care about minorities. You don't care about anybody but your agenda. That is it. Because your actions led to the death of a woman. I guarantee you, you will see that in Scotland. You will see this in the UK because of they are adopting heavy amount of liberal ideology. Leftist ideology. This is the thing where feminism is so dangerous. Okay? It is poisoning the world. It is making the Western world extremely weak. Extremely weak. They promote, they accept the mentally ill. You're not rehabilitating anybody. The guy was arrested 14 times. Let go 14 times. Where was the rehabilitation for that man? You didn't rehabilitate him. You let him out so many times, and it led to the murder of a young girl. Like, absolutely. Like, this is feminism poisoning right here, right? You think you're so you're so edgy, you're so free, good-hearted, right? You're letting out a minority, right? A sad minority. Yeah, he's so oppressed, right? Something because he's a minority, he must be oppressed. We can't just keep having him in prison. But guess what? Because your actions led to the death of somebody. The 14 times that he was let out, whoever let him out, the death of her is on their hands. But no, they wouldn't care, right? They wouldn't care.
Apparently, he made his face before a fucking judge, and the judge said, hey, you seem mentally capable enough to be let back into the streets. Which, by the way, those judges should be also brought to justice. But where was that history, I ask again? He is not mentally capable. I don't know, man. I saw the video. We all saw the fucking video. He seemed pretty mentally capable of stabbing a woman to death. I don't know if you've noticed.
And I've said this before. I don't care if you're mentally capable or not, right? If you're dangerous, you should be deleted. Dangerous in a way that you see the danger. The man killed somebody. I don't care if he's mentally incompetent, mentally ill. But obviously, you are useless to society. I'm sorry. You add nothing to society. You don't even add the tax dollars to society. Right? Your existence doesn't even do that. So you should be deleted. You should be deleted. This is another thing that I hate about our justice system. Why aren't these dangerous people deleted? We should not be letting these people out because they're useless to society.
Why the fuck would you even take the other side?
And because the trial is paused, he will still remain in police custody receiving treatment so he can be competent to stand trial.
As I said earlier, he was competent enough to stab a woman to death. He should be competent enough to stand trial at its current state.
Because if you didn't know, in America, the 14th Amendment gives you the right to due process.
Excellent. He's due to be processed to the fucking electric chair.
The Supreme Court ruled in Dusky versus the United States in 1960, which basically ruled that defendants have a right to a competency evaluation before standing trial.
Cool story, bro. I don't give a fuck. And neither do all the people who want justice to be served.
Basically stating that the defendant must be able to consult with their lawyer and have an understanding of what's going on.
Did Irina Zarutska get a chance to consult with her lawyer to know exactly what was going on? Or was she dead before she can process exactly what was going the fuck on?
I mean, I don't even understand why you guys are mad.
Oh, you don't understand, guys?
Some person murdered another person and justice is not being served. I don't know why anyone don't understand that. Okay. And justice wasn't served 14 times, letting out this dangerous man, this mentally disturbed man. Obviously, well, he's mentally disturbed. He's mentally ill, yet you let him out 14 times because he was arrested 14 times. So he committed a crime 14 times. I'm sorry. These people need to be deleted. Absolutely deleted. It's absolutely disgusting that these people are, are breathing our air, right? And I honestly said it's the root of feminism. It is the root of feminism. It has weakened men. It has made women stupider. Well, if they were smart to begin with, and just weaken society.
You know, the only logical conclusion as to why patriarchy exists today is because collectively men got their feelings hurt. Nobody really talks about this. But think about it logically for a second.
This is a 4-minute long video, so I'm going to interject while watching it. Patriarchy was created in a way today is because it's a logical, right? It's the logical path, right? It's the logical path. Because why is it a logical path? Because here's the thing. It's the force doctrine. You can't get anything done without force. You can't get anything done without force. To have laws, you need force to enforce it, right? You need men who are the primary enactor of force to enforce said laws. To have rights, right? To have rights, you need men to enact it, right? Freedom of speech, right? Guess what? It's the fear, it's the knowing, the knowledge that you have force behind it. That's how you allow certain rights, right? That's how you are able to, keep on, expressing your rights. So it's force. So it's a logical sense that since men are predominantly the enforcers, patriarchy is natural. Not because of men in their feelings. That's fucking stupid. That's women shit. It's not men being in their feelings. It's just biologically, right? You gotta think. You can even look at the animal kingdom. Okay, the only way you can see a matriarchy, right, in most of any part of the animal kingdom, it's still strength. So one common thing that one common group that has a matriarchy, hyenas. But guess what? Female hyenas have more testosterone. They're more aggressive. They're bigger, stronger than the male counterparts. So it's still force. It will always be force.
For most of human prehistory, hundreds of thousands of years before about 10,000 BC, there is just strong evidence that humans did not know what caused pregnancy. That's not a crazy idea, it's just logic. We had no framework for invisible biological processes. What we forget is that women have always automatically known who their children are. We gave birth to them. That knowledge requires nothing. No system, no rules, no control. There was never a reason to control female sexuality until someone decided children were property. The control didn't come from...
No. Humans have always decided humans were property, right? The first traded goods, I believe, right, were humans. Humans were, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, the first traded goods. Humans, right? Humans were always, human labor, right, is a property in itself, okay?
From nature, it came from ownership. Sex happens, and then nothing visible happens for weeks, months. After 9 months, a baby appears. Early humans had no concept of sperm or microscopes or biology. And the women in early hunter-gatherer societies likely had multiple partners. There was no church telling them not to. So the connection between any one man and a pregnancy, it's genuinely unclear. For a very long time, in a sense, there was no concept at all of a father. And during all of that time,
there was no real concept of a mother either, right? I mean, the whole labels thing, we put it like modern day humanity, modern day humans put labels on things. So you're being weird.
Men were watching women do something they couldn't do. Create life. There's actually anthropological evidence of this. There were...
I mean, this is a thing where I just find it stupid because I always hate this notion that a lot of stupid women put, right? Where's your evidence for men were doing this? Men were like, this just watching women create life. I mean, it's like, what? You're prescribing things, or you're describing things that you're not prescribing. You're describing things that you think, but you're not really giving actual evidence.
Rituals where men simulated pregnancy, labor, even menstruation. Men were trying to belong to the creation process. That's just a very deep wound that we're dealing with now for a really long time. Patriarchy is just all of us having to pay for that deep emotional wound. Tens of thousands of years of feeling peripheral, as men did, to the most fundamental thing humans do is going to create some bad feelings. Here's probably where everything changed. Around 10,000 BC, humans started domesticating animals, goats, cattle, sheep. For the first time, you could watch a ram mate with an ewe, isolate her.
Based on available archaeological, anthropological studies, there's no direct evidence that men in prehistory times simulated pregnancy in the way a modern person might imitate symptoms. However, the concept of men participating in or participating in pregnancy related rituals, often called kulvad or sympathic pregnancy, is a well documented anthropological phenomenon, though it is difficult to prove such cultural practices existed in prehistory. So a lot of things this woman is saying is just made up, or just there's really no evidence to it.
And see the lamb. Controlled observation. That's likely the moment men figured out their role. And after tens of thousands of years of feeling like they didn't have a role, that click.
You know how stupid it is? Because even prehistory, you can find, evidence that men were still leaders of groups, right? Leaders of tribes, leaders of civilizations. It's men. So your patriarchy still existed prehistory. So it's not.
Was psychologically explosive. And here's the thing we need to understand. A group that has the physical capacity, strength to dominate other people like men do, needs to feel that they matter in a way that doesn't require domination. That's a stabilizing force. If you take that away for thousands of years and then give them a wound that deep, and when they finally find they're in, the overcorrection makes sense psychologically. It doesn't make it right, but it makes it legible. And then we've got the birth of the Almighty Father. Because ownership only works if you know what's yours. Women always knew their children. They gave birth to them.
What the fuck is this woman talking about? Where's her actual logic? It's like her logic. Patriarchy exists because men's feelings got hurt. So men's feelings got hurt is because they saw women being able to give birth. Where's your proof of that? It's like absolutely stupid. Where's your proof that men's feelings got hurt because they saw women able to give birth? What?
Men needed something new, control of female sexuality. And that's where marriage comes from. Virginity culture.
Justin, what is up, my brother? What is up?
Inheritance law, organized religion, encoding female purity. You get it. You plant an ownership flag in the ground and suddenly you need a fence all around it. All of it downstream of one moment of biological realization turned into a civilization power grab for men. We built an entire civilization on top of men's paternity anxiety. And
she's just doing a whole lot of fucking word salad. So you're saying that patriarchy exists because of men's anxiety to paternity. How stupid is, but history has shown that majority of men, right, didn't produce the next generation. Right? There's let's see. Genetic studies suggest that for much of human history, a smaller portion of men reproduce compared to women. While estimates vary, some research indicate that only about 40% of men passed on their genes throughout history, often due to social whatever, right? So by that mindset, majority of men, only 40% of men. So majority of men, about 60% of men didn't reproduce. So 60% of men didn't care, didn't have no anxiety of paternity. So literally that kind of disprove or, weakens your point of view that, the patriarchy exists because men's feelings are hurt. But how men's feelings hurt when majority of men didn't, men's feelings got hurt because of anxiety of paternity. Yet history has shown that about 60% of men didn't even reproduce with women. So you're judging everything on a small percentage of men? A minority of men? Feminism proves women's stupidity. All right? Women constantly base their judgment, base their weak-ass ideologies, weak-ass logic on the small percent of men, right? The minority. But to be honest, that's where your things weaken. When it's not the majority, it's a honestly very weak logic.
we've never really stopped to ask where that started and what it's costing all of us. You know,
It's very stupid. Honestly, it's very stupid, right? Because why my argument, right? The patriarchy exists because it's a natural order. Just like I gave the example of hyenas, right? It's a matriarchal system. Hyena is a matriarchal system. But why? Right? It isn't the fear of paternity. It is, again, strength, right? Aggression. That is why the patriarchy exists. That is why if a matriarchy does exist, which, like I said, the hyenas, it is, again, because of still strength. It is the force doctrine. The one that has the force creates the rules. That is it. That is the only reason why throughout history, any king can become a king, any queen can become a queen. Because they have force backing them up. Plain and simple. Any nation without a military, right, without a good military, well, it's a weak nation. And it will be taken over whenever other nations feel like taking it over. It's always force. And my logic makes sense because it's the majority. Majority of men have the ability of force. Majority of men will outstrength majority of women. So, women like this is just more stupidity. Guys, thank you for just stopping by and checking out the stream. Let's do some, let me check out some Kendra G videos. Give me a minute.
But I just reach and take. I just get it. I just have it. When I see it, I just grab it. I just get it. I just have it. When I see it, I just grab it. No mercy, no patience. The moment bends my way. I get what I want. I always get what I want. I get what I want. I always get what I want. You chase it. You beg it. You wait for permission. I walk in. I take it.
You know, since there's really not many people watching today, I'm just going to do whatever, right? Since there's not many people watching, I'm just going to, I'll save Kendra for another time. I'm going to watch some videos I have saved. Red Door, what is up, my sister? Thank you for coming by. Thank you for coming by. All right, I have some, I have this video I've saved. I want to check it out. Since there's not many people tonight, you know, no need to, you know, watch anything. I'll watch whatever, right? So since I have some of these videos saved, I'm going to check them out.
Understand how serious the situation is. It's really dystopian.
A third of teenage girls have been suicidal at some point. Autism diagnoses are up 305% in the last 10 years. Gen Z are having less and less sex.
Someone is lying to us here because it's just not working.
Feminism is. Feminism is ruining the world. Feminism is absolutely disgusting.
Social media company said we'd all be connected. It's quite literally turned out the opposite. Young women aren't seeing themselves as human, they're seeing themselves as products. You grow up being ranked and reviewed on everything.
Yes, this is a fucking Handmaid's Tale come to life.
So guys, if you now live in the UK and you don't have children, you now may be subject to the no kids tax or the child free tax.
Liberal girls are way more likely to agree with statements like, life is hopeless, life is meaningless. They will tell the most horrific, traumatic stories from their childhood while they're just getting ready for the day. Stories of being while they're doing their hair.
We've become less social, more introvert, more anxious.
You raise a generation in a world where they don't need to have human interaction.
If you want to support the Winston Marshall Show and our They Want Children, only 45% of women say they want children. Only 45% of women aged 18 to 34 in the States say they want children. Only 55% of Gen Z in the UK want children at all, basically half.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a smattering. I mean, suicide rate or attempted suicide rates have skyrocketed. Up to a third of teenage girls have been suicidal.
And that's the thing, right? Although I say about the self-deletion rates for men are terrible because men accomplish self-deletion at a higher rate than women. Women attempt deletions higher than men. Okay. So there's a problem, right? There's definitely a problem. Okay. There's a problem in society. There's a problem with women. We're not really talking about it.
Some point. And at the same time, young people, Gen Z, are having less and less sex, and their anxiety is skyrocketing as well. Gen Z is the least religious generation in history. In 2022, 34% of them identify as religiously unaffiliated.
No purpose, right? I said this before, right? I'm not religious, but I want to live in a predominantly religious, in a Christian nation, right? I want to live in a Christian nation because it has a sense of morality. The nation itself, right? The people, the majority of people would have moralities. They will have a purpose. They have a sense of direction. Hell, people don't. People don't.
Attendance in the US dropped from 42% to 30% in the last 20 years. This is just a little bit of what you get into. Before we try and understand what's going on, can you help me and just continue to paint this picture of the situation we're in, that Gen Z are suffering at the moment?
Yeah, it's a lovely bedtime story that I've written. I think, I'm glad you read those out because I think that people don't really understand how serious the situation is. So I really wanted to get across in the book how all-encompassing these issues are. And obviously it's not all girls and young women that are struggling, but I think there's something in every chapter that will be affecting girls today growing up, and men as well. I think there's a lot that men will relate to as well. But I wanted to put it in terms of the experience of being a young girl. So it's everything. It's how you look, it's dating, it's the future, whether you want children, it's your mental state, it's all of these experiences of growing up.
It's politics as well, or they've been politicized as well.
Yeah. All of them are very different to how they were just a few generations ago. And all of the things in the book to me are not very shocking. But then I speak to my mum or I speak to older generations and they can't even comprehend the world that I'm talking about. And that's really what I wanted to get across, is it's so different and it's so intense.
I hope most people agree that the increase in anxiety amongst young people is a problem.
Yeah.
I've noticed it with Gen Z, Zoomers. This is people born between 96 and 2011. They struggle with interactions. And sometimes
yeah, I'm not talking about not wearing pants. Evil Eddie, what is up, my brother? What is up?
They can be quite rude. It's almost like they weren't socialized in the same way I was.
Yeah.
How would you describe this particular situation as the anxiety?
Yeah, I think there is a chronic risk aversion among young people. And I tried to get across in the book the context for that. So you've grown up in a world with less face-to-face interaction than any other generation in history. So you've spent less time in the presence of other people. You've also had less sort of spontaneous interactions. So you're less likely to grow up with neighbors that you know in a community. So you're less likely to bump into people and just get used to being around people. Then you have a generation who've had their formative and vulnerable years in COVID, where they literally were not face-to-face with anyone. And essentially, you raise a generation in a world where they don't need to have human interaction. So I talk a lot about the substitutes and the simulations online that you can get for all kinds of things that previous generations took for granted. So you can have an Instagram community. If you need to ask for advice, you can go on Reddit. And I think this is sort of what's missing when people like laugh at young people because they can't talk on the phone or because they're anxious. It's that they've grown up in a world where they haven't really needed to practice that. And then also it's been indulged. A lot of adults have said, you have anxiety, you don't need to do that. So they've grown up in a world with less discomfort and they've not been.
We are raising a weak generation. Okay. And in my opinion, it's women, right? Not all women, but I think a lot of communities is very matriarchal, right? If we have families, it's women raising the family. Women are raising the next generation of weak ass men, and weak ass women as well, right? To be honest, unbearable weak ass women, but definitely unbearable weak ass men. So
Pushed as much as previous generations to get out of it.
and we're having fathers just going along with it, right? I'm sorry, any father that goes along with the whole alphabet community shit, right? Just like the other day, I did the video of a whole middle school club or class, whatever. All of them are either trans or non-binary. I would give them the benefit of doubt that they're all raised by single mothers, but if they have a father in their life, that father has failed them, right? That father has failed them. If a whole class or club or whatever calls themselves trans or non-binary, all the men in their life has failed them. It's understandable that women have failed them because women in general are weak, right? They're weak-minded. So understandable, but the problem is men are becoming weak-minded as well.
It is social media, and this is what you're putting the blame at the feet of social media and the big tech giants of California. Just to paint a picture, this is some more of the horrifying facts in your book. 25% of 5 to 7-year-olds have their own smartphones, and 38% of them are already on social media.
Yeah, you even have something that didn't make it into the book, is you have parents who, when they find out they're pregnant, they immediately claim a username for their child. So they'll make sure that the child has an Instagram handle that is good. And so that's part of it. You plan the baby shower, you plan your child's social media accounts.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, a lot of these children, when I was growing up, I had Instagram at maybe 10 or 11. But now you have children who are born straight into this world where everyone has an Instagram account. And it's completely normal.
I met a professor, a London professor of psychology and neuroscience in London, and he told me that now 1 in 10 under 18s report PTSD, which is absolutely mental, because that's something for the reserve of people who've gone through war or serious issues. And this lines up with your analysis of the sort of post-social media period. And that's pretty striking.
Yeah, I think a lot of my generation are traumatized. And I say that the word trauma is thrown around so much, and progressives use it to describe pretty much everything, except for the things that I think are actually traumatic, like, say, your parents divorce and your family falls apart. They won't call that trauma. But something I do think is very traumatic is growing up seeing things like violent porn before you have any context for that, before you've been on a...
DA, do you mean Tyrone, Pookie, Ray Ray, Chad, raised by Simp Tim is what you were talking about? Exactly. Another single mother thing, right? I mean, again, it's weak men, weak or neglectful men, shitty men raising or allowing the next generation to be raised like weak ass future adults.
First date before you've kissed a boy.
We have overly sensitive men. We have extremely aggressive, emotional women.
And also maybe seeing things, you say it's similar to, you have PTSD if you've been through war, but they might have seen people getting...
I agree. Modern comforts and 24/7 entertainment has ruined us. I definitely agree.
Their heads chopped off and literal murders on social media. And so I do think a lot of it has come at young people too young, where they don't have the context, and it's traumatized them.
Yeah, so I come away reading your book feeling like in the name of social media and socializing ourselves, we've become less social, more atomized, more introvert, more anxious. And in fact, it's a misnomer now to call it social media. It should be called media. Social media might be WhatsApp, where you're actually socializing or interacting, but the social media platforms have just become sort of avatars for ourselves. And as you say, we've commodified ourselves through it.
Yeah, I talk a lot about the sort of marketing strategies of these industries in the book, and how everything they...
Yeah, I mean, this is a thing where I'm happy. I'm so glad being part of the generation that was before the change, right? I'm the generation, right? 1984, right? I was before the generation of the start of the internet, right? The start of social media. That's so I knew a bit of life before social media, before internet, before the heavy advancement in technology. So I understood what it was like before.
Promise, it's quite literally turned out the opposite. So the social media company said we'd all be connected, and now you have a generation of young people who say they feel lonelier than pensioners. Then you have all of these editing apps and these beauty brands.
And that's the thing also. There was a time where these people were young in their 20s. They had a family, right? They had a husband or a wife and children. That loneliness is filled with relationships that are strong, i.e. your family, right?
Saying that will make you feel more confident and empowered, yet you have a generation driving the demand for cosmetic surgery. And the same with the mental health industry. You have it promising that you'll understand yourself and you'll solve your problems and you'll heal. And yet we have a generation that's so chronically anxious and introspective, and it's not helping. And so I try and lay out all of those paradoxes to say someone is lying to us here because it's just not working.
Yeah. Well, I want to get into who that is and your how you think this has come about. But I still want to explore with you some of the some of the issues we're dealing with. And one of them has been the massive politicization of generations. You describe in your book Me Too situation and BLM. That was a social media issue that I got on the wrong end of in 2021. And we're seeing it still now with Palestine and anti-ICE issues. One thing I notice with all these groups is it tends to be progressive issues that dominate or proliferate on social media. And either as a consequence, or maybe it's because young women are increasingly harder to the left.
Yeah.
There's a recent YouGov poll from this year that shows the House of Commons, if only women aged 18 to 50 could vote, and it's something like nearly 500 seats were the Green Party. For American listeners, the Green Party...
the 80s and 90s were a beautiful time. I believe it was a beautiful time.
Are communist. They are anti... The leader literally advocates against property rights. They are Islamist as well. The deputy leader this weekend was at a pro-Ayatollah march in Parliament Square in London. I mean, this is hard left.
Ayatollah. We are going to talk about this, right? We are going to do a stream about this. How absolutely, utterly insane. I'm sorry, these Muslims, majority of Muslims choose to immigrate outside of Muslim countries. They didn't choose to stay or move to another Muslim country or stay in their Muslim country. No, they choose to immigrate out of it. And yet they are supporting back home. You're absolutely disgusting. People like that are absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
What do you make of that?
Yeah, well, a lot of people think young men were radicalized, but I think young women were radicalized by social media. So the gap between young men and young women politically was pretty stable for sort of the last 2 decades. And it's really in the early 2010s that women started to lurch to the left. And I talk in the book about 2020 and BLM because I wanted to put into context, let's say you're a teenager at that time. So I was 19, 20. The amount of pressure on young women to join in on those kind of movements online and to signal your politics. And I wanted to kind of tell the story of 2020 from the perspective of being a young girl on social media. And so I actually started by talking about the Paris attacks in, was it 2015?
Charlie Hebdo 2015 and Bataclan 2015.
Yeah. So I remember so vividly that there was this filter on Facebook where you could put the French flag over your profile picture. And you had girls doing it, that was the first time it actually became more offensive to not post something or not do something. And I remember thinking that is really new because I didn't really use social media, but I felt enormous pressure to do this, to just lay this filter over my profile picture. And you had girls putting it over pictures of them in bikinis and selfies, and somehow that was less offensive than not posting. And so that happened. And then there was another terror attack a few years later. I think it was in Belgium or Brussels. And people were demanding a filter and saying to Facebook, you're not putting the filter out quickly enough, so I can't display my position on this. And I give that context to show that it then started to change from it's offensive if you post the wrong thing to it's offensive if you don't post at all. And that gives the context to then silence is consent. and which is silence is consent is one of the quotes I put in the book, which is Cara Delevingne model. Put that on.
Their ideology is take over the Western countries. I agree. I believe Islamic ideology is basically they're trying to take over. I believe they purposely are immigrating outside of Muslim countries so they can spread their ideologies that honestly don't fit well with Western ideologies. I definitely agree.
Her Instagram story, which is the worst slogan I've ever heard. Like,
wow.
We don't want that one to catch on. But then there's
so literally anything that you haven't talked about, you approve of.
Yeah.
Right.
And I give an example in the book of like...
I don't think you thought that through.
Yeah, exactly. I talk in the book about sort of some of these viral posts that I was seeing at the time and teenagers were seeing. And one of them, it's just an example that I've picked. The language is crazy. It's like, if you're silent, you're letting people die. Fear of getting political is racist. All of these sort of Instagram infographics that were coming up on girls' feeds during the 2020s. And I wanted to give that context to show that, yes...
It shows you that, I'm sorry. Not all women, but a lot of women are stupid. I've said this countless times before. If you lie, women will buy, right? I believe women are so easily susceptible to propaganda. Now, I'm not saying men aren't, right? I'm not saying men aren't, but comparatively, I believe women are easier, in my opinion, to be susceptible to propaganda. Because when you hit emotion, whichever gender, whichever group of people, whichever person is more emotional, right? Easily triggered, easily manipulated, thinks through emotion, well, they will easily fall for propaganda. This is why, my brothers, I promote being logical, okay? I'm not going to be mad or sad or whatever because you have a difference of opinion. I don't care. I don't care if you have a different opinion. I rather care about prove your opinion. Prove it. Right? Don't just say, I believe this, and that's it. No, that's not how it works. I don't give a shit. This is why I've said this plenty of times to people who would want to debate me or whatever. I can easily change my mind if it sounds logical. But if you're trying to hit my emotions, that is where you're going to fail, right? It's like, if you say Trump is a fascist, Trump is okay, prove it. But a lot of things, how he abuses his power. How is he abusing his power? When honestly, what he's doing is within the capability of a president, right? He's not doing anything more than other presidents have ever done, right? Start a war or bomb another nation. Obama's done it, right? Other presidents have done it. Tariff other nations, yeah, other presidents have done that shit too. He's not doing things that no other president has ever done before, okay? So abuse of power, you have to prove to me how he's abusing his power or how he's being authoritarian, because he's not controlling you, right? He's not. This is why I'm saying, because people like that, they want to target how you feel, your emotions, be triggered. He's an authoritarian. That's it. That's all you need to know, right? Use these words to trigger your emotions. He's a Nazi. He's a Gestapo, the mustache man, right? The mustache painter, right? They do that shit to trigger you. Not being logical. Women base their opinions on emotions, not facts or logic. 100%.
There are sort of progressive activists, young women who are really pushing this stuff. But there's also a lot of girls growing up at that time who were coming of age on social media, were posting everything else on social media. So all their memories, all their relationships. And so if you're not posting about what's going on in the world, it becomes suspect. And I remember having that feeling so strongly at the time, even though I didn't really use social media, that I felt if I don't post this, everyone in my school is going to think that I'm a bad person. And I think that can explain a lot of this lurch to the left, is that girls are very acutely aware of their reputation. And then this is happening online where your reputation is permanent and it's for everyone to see and it's measurable. You can literally measure someone's morality by whether they've posted or not. And so I think it was a crazy time to grow up, and it's really, scarred a lot of young people to think that they need to constantly prove where they stand and prove that they're a good person.
So what we're talking about is normal, or natural, I should say, female psychology and tendencies and behavior, which have evolved over hundreds of thousands of years, millions of years.
Yeah. or not.
are
And so
now
I think-
being hijacked or massively influenced
Yeah.
by what we do on smartphones.
Yeah.
Is that what we're talking
Yeah,
about here?
it's a
Or is it something else? Is it, are these not really natural female behaviors?
I think they are natural, as in it's very natural to worry about how people are perceiving you and worry about your reputation, especially as a teenage girl, because you really want to belong and fit in.
And why do you think that is? Why have women evolved to have those sort of feelings?
I guess it would go back to
They're more social creatures. Women are more social. Okay. They need that. This is why, in my opinion, throughout time, women find more purpose with family. They're more social. And having a family is an easier way in to be social, right? You have a husband, you have children, you automatically have a social group. Now, creating a friendship group, it's not as stable, relatively speaking, or historically speaking. It's not as stable, and you have to create multiple friendship groups, right? Multiple friends. So it's not the easiest, but they still do it because it's a social dynamic. Women are more social oriented. Women find purpose in people.
to being vulnerable evolutionarily and needing to sort of have a clan of women to protect you and look after you, especially have children, or you're pregnant. It's such a vulnerable time. You would need the support of other women. I wonder if it goes back.
Now, this is the thing where it's the betrayal because, women had the support of men, right? But now, because of feminism, women want to look through other women. Yet, in my opinion, okay, it's weak in a way because there were a time where women were easily able to give support to each other because the men were, providing. Right? Men were taking up the burdens of provision. Today, women are having a hard time with that because women are also going out and trying to provide, or women are the ones trying to provide because they're single. They're single mothers. They're by themselves, right? Or they're just single. They're not mothers, and they have to provide. So they can't necessarily have the time for being having a women's group and shit like that. I know this is off topic. What are those graded cards, huh? Oh, well, okay. No, it's fine. I don't mind a little bit off topic, right? I have a Otani, right? I really wanted to get this one, a baseball card. I don't like baseball, but he won the championship. So I wanted to get a card of him. Right. This is Wolverine. Right? Wolverine is my favorite character. So I got a few cards of him, right? This one is also another Wolverine. These cards are just like from blind boxes, okay? Oh, and that's another Wolverine card. That is a Dragonite, a Pokemon card, a graded Pokemon card. So, yeah. So I love geeky shit. I love to collect, right? I love buying shit. So I don't look to other women for any kind of support. Red Door, I mean, like, this is the thing. You have a family. This is why you're a matriarch. You create a family where it's everyone, right? It's like a whole tribe, okay? You're not just looking for you're not just looking for women for support. You're looking for everyone, right? Or you're the support, right? Because you're the matriarch.
To that, but I think it is a very normal feeling. But the thing is with these platforms is they tap into that and they exploit it. And so I think if you were to design a machine that would make girls anxious and ruminate and also bring out their vulnerabilities, but also their vices, the worst of female behavior, it would be Instagram. It would be social media.
The worst of female behavior, in my opinion, is when they're too emotional. I believe a lot of women's worst behaviors are based on emotion. When they're too emotional, it is dangerous.
It's sort of perfectly designed to play on that.
Okay, so before social media, what about reality would keep those female instincts in check?
I think they would just not be escalated to the extreme. And so
I think of family. Before social media, what kept women in check was family, was a father. Before social media, what kept women in check was a father. Right? Having a father, a strong disciplinarian. That's what kept women in check. Today, we either have no father or we have weak-ass fathers. Right? It's either or. We either have weak-ass fathers or no father at all. So no one keeps women in check. Right? Because mothers will go along with it. It's like, oh yeah, go do your thing. You know, like, hell, they will participate. They will participate in women insanities, right? In young women's insanities. Because these older women want to be young or whatever shit. That is, you know, I believe another outcome of feminism, right? Either get rid of the man or make him weak, right? Make him docile, make him a doormat, make him spineless.
sort of a recurring theme of the book is that a lot of these things begin normal and become very warped by social media. So, for example, mental health discourse or mental health trends. When I was young, people would start talking about their mental health, their anxiety, their depression. It seemed like a good thing. It seemed like a healthy impulse to share and raise awareness. But because of the nature of social media, the incentives, you have influencers who need to become more and more extreme to get clicks, which means they're intent on making these disorders as relatable and clickable as possible because they want to make a video to say 5 signs of autism and have as many people relate to it as possible. So they'll keep watching it and coming back.
I also think that the promoting of certain mental instabilities is another women's subversion, right? We have so many people, ADHD or autism, neurodivergence. Stop it with that shit, right? Stop it. Being a bit of an introvert or reclusive or not that sociable doesn't make you an autistic person, right? Doesn't make you neurodivergent. Doesn't make you have being a bit hyper or whatever. Doesn't make you have ADHD. Stop it with that BS, right? Because it's so trendy for us to, have something wrong with us, right? It's so trendy that maybe we have some kind of disability. Let me join the autistic club, the neurodivergent club, the whatever. I'm a victim. All this. I hate that BS. I really do, because what that do is just pushes us to a weak culture, right? We're weak. That's the point. It pushes us to let's put some labels, weakened labels on us, right? You're autistic, you're neurodivergent, you have ADHD, you're trans, you're mentally unstable, all this depression, you have depression, all this. It's just another weakening thing.
So you have those incentives, but you also have algorithms that drag you toward ever more extreme content to keep you scrolling. And so maybe in the past, you would have a young woman who gets into progressive politics and she talks to her friends, she talks to her community, but it kind of stops there. Whereas now you show a little bit of interest in one political issue, you're then actually categorized by these companies who are monitoring you all the time so they can target you with ads. And so they'll categorize you as a progressive person, and then you are served more and more of that content.
Wow.
And then
I agree. Laughing man, I agree. But sadly, right? Sadly, that is part of feminist ideology. They want women to do that. Because if you didn't see my first video, it's feminist goal to decrease the birth rate. It is feminist goal to decrease the birth rate. They all use all those labels as excuses for their behavior. Yes, exactly. I agree. They use the labels I said, right? Autistic, neurodivergent, ADHD, whatever. It's trendy. It's excuse for bad behaviors. And it's just to perpetuate their victimhood.
Comes your identity.
You write about the tens of thousands of data points that these companies collect on children, and they are children and minors, even before they're 18. So they're really harvesting information about you that we're allowing our children to happily give away.
And very young. And so this is the point I try and get across, is whatever you're interested in or insecure about as a child, not only do the algorithms know that and track you and you're categorized on the platform, but also if you start posting about that, that's permanent, it's online. That becomes your identity, it becomes how people know you, it's your personal brand.
Yeah.
And so I think it's much harder for my generation to change our mind and to grow out of things because we've already marketed ourselves as something. So if you're 14 and you're really into progressive politics, you might have shaped your whole TikTok and Instagram, everything around that. It's very difficult to then change. So you have young people literally having personal brands from sort of the age of 12, 13, and then having to stay a coherent, consumable package.
Because why do they feel like they have to stay coherent?
Because I think it looks, if you're young and you sort of grow out of something gradually, there's not many people who can say, well, you've changed your mind, you're different, you were being insincere. Whereas if you have a whole Instagram page where you've consistently been left-wing and you start maybe being curious about one conservative issue, essentially you have a personal brand, even if it's just your friends, family, classmates, colleagues.
And let's be honest, they will eat you alive if you switch up. We've seen plenty of people who all of a sudden switch up. Oh, they were left-leaning, when they were young, right, in their 20s, but now that they're almost their 30s, they start being right-leaning. They will eat you up, right? The friends you thought that were lifelong friends, they will betray you. They will disown you. They will just pretty much, not want to be around you.
Following you. That is where they get their information about you. So if you say are going
Exactly, Evil Eddie. Exactly.
On a date, the first thing you do is look up someone's Instagram. That's how you find out who they are, what they believe, everything about them. And so young people are presenting themselves as brands, and then it's very difficult to move on from anything.
Yes, but even brands change. One thing that I find curious is this idea.
Even brands change, but the issue is that sometimes you're not allowed to change, okay? Because it's your target audience. So, yeah, even brands can change, but we see this sometimes with a lot of brands, right? Very famously, how maybe Coke, I believe, at a point where they changed their formula, there was outrage to that, right? So changing is not really a popular thing.
Yeah, that people are worried about being judged. That's what you've said a couple of times now. It's always occurred to me that caring what other people think about you is the greatest weakness you could have.
Yeah.
But
that's why I don't, right? I don't care, right? I know that I doubt I'm ever going to become big or anything, but I don't care, right? I don't care if people don't really find me charismatic or a good talker or, someone worth watching. It is what it is. I'm not going to cry about it, right? I'm not going to cry about it. I just like doing it, right? It's fun for me. It's therapeutic for me. The few people that I do connect with, right? I love, right? I could honestly say, right? The people I see from day to day, like Red Door, Laughing Man, Evil Eddie, I love you guys. I see you guys as friends. I see you guys as brothers and sisters, right?
Is that the fundamental issue here? Is people care too much about other people?
Well, they've been taught to care because they have been.
I'm the most humble person I know as well. You definitely are, Evil Eddie. You are mad humble.
Argue in the book is that women have become products, and I think we have been, since the rise of social media, we see ourselves as objects in a marketplace above anything else. And so we have grown up getting this feedback, these reviews essentially, in the form of likes and followers. And you grow up being ranked and reviewed on everything. So on how you look, on your political opinions, on your most intimate memories that you're posting. And so I think you literally grow up seeing yourself as more of a product than a person. And I think that explains some of the other trends that we spoke about earlier. So young women not wanting to have children. People often say, oh, that's so irrational, or that doesn't make any sense. But because what they'll say is, that's the most human experience. Why would you not want to do that? But I think that's the wrong frame. Young women aren't seeing themselves as human. They're seeing themselves as products. And life is not about a collection of human experiences. It's about optimizing yourself for the market. And if your frame is optimize yourself for the market, having children is very irrational because it's, you could destroy your body. It's not something that you can really display the value of as much as it's sort of a quiet satisfaction. It's a sustainable meaning. And so I think if you see yourself as a pristine product, having a family does not really factor into that. And I don't think that's necessarily conscious, but I do think the way we view life is very different to previous generations. It's like a product trying to be sold rather than a person trying to live.
That's really, I think you're onto something there. But if you look at post-war feminism, it was less about female liberation from whatever change they had before, but more about how did they join the male market.
Yes. Yeah.
And so this predates social media by some time. Do you see it as a continuation of the same thing?
Yes. So I was actually talking to Rusty Reno of First Things about the post-war consensus.
Yes, R.R. Reno. We've had him on the show. We did an episode about
he's
this.
Amazing. He's so good. And it's very interesting to me because I'm more interested in relationships. I'm really into sort of the interpersonal side of all of this. But Rusty's telling me about that, you know, there was this posture of openness after the war, and you have to be open to all of these ideologies and cultures, and you have to have a constant willingness to embrace other people and ideas, and you can't be protective of sort of your own culture and beliefs. But that's really interesting to me because that is what I see happening with Gen Z women in terms of even things like relationships, where they have to have a posture of openness all the time. And it has to be like, I'm never insecure, I'm never jealous, I never want to close off this relationship and, you know, commit to it because I have to be this open, progressive, endlessly secure.
That is why you see less marriages. You're seeing a grow in the poly relationships, these open relationships. You see situationships, right? You see a huge influx of situationships, hookup culture, right? I've said this before. Women are dangerous to themselves. Women are absolutely dangerous to themselves. I'm sorry, when you're pretty much emotion based and you're stupid, you're not logic based, you're going to hurt yourself.
Person. So something like not wanting an open relationship or not wanting your boyfriend to be addicted to porn, that all becomes very controlling and insecure. Yeah. And it's very interesting to me that I think these trends go back way further than social media, in that there was this cultural push to be more progressive and open. And I think that's hurt a lot of young women in ways that maybe they don't even realize.
Yes. You mentioned this in passing in the book, but you talk about how liberal women, or conservative women will have their locus at the center, and liberal women have their locus at the further out. Is this what you mean by that? Or is that something else?
It's related. So there's the locus of control where you feel like external forces sort of dominate your life rather than you have control over them, which is really bad for your mental health. It's correlated with anxiety and depression.
Can you explain that to me? Sorry.
So basically, conservatives tend to have a more internal locus of control. So they tend to have a disposition where they believe they are in control of what happens in their life.
Agency.
Yes. Liberals tend to have an external locus of control where they feel that things just happen to them. And Gen Z as a whole has shifted more external since the 2010s, but particularly girls, and even more so liberal girls. So since 2012, liberal girls are way more likely to agree with statements like, life is hopeless, there's nothing I can do, life is meaningless, those kind of things. So there's that going on. But then there's also...
Well, because you think about this. What is the purpose for conservative women? A family. That is the purpose. A family. What is the purpose for progressive liberal women? Right? A job. A job. Because most people, right? Let's stop letting social media fool us. Most people will have just a job. You will have a job. Most people don't have a career. Most people are not out here having a career. Even if you've gone to college, majority of people, a good amount of people, aren't, in a career. They're in a job. Something that they don't like. Something they're doing to, sustain life. Okay, something that may not be as high paying. And how's that giving you purpose? Clocking in every day, 9 to 5, doing a job that either just gives you paycheck. I mean, you're living off paycheck to paycheck, or you don't necessarily enjoy. Wage slaves, exactly. Right. So, what is the purpose for liberal women today? And this is why a lot of them, right, are so active in all these movements, right? For Palestine, for, you know, the alphabet community, for whatever trendy shit you see. Okay? The BLM shit, whatever. Okay? This is why a lot of women jump on those things, because they're trying to get purpose, right? They're trying to find purpose. Because if your purpose is your job, which isn't a career, you have no purpose. You have no purpose. This is why men knew it, right? Throughout time or throughout modern history, men just had jobs, not careers. But, right, what gave them purpose is what's back at home. A family, okay? A family is what has given people throughout history a purpose in life, okay? This is why men go to war. A family. This is what drives nations. A family. Reproducing. Children. A wife. A husband. Hey, let's do what modern women are doing, right? Let's do what modern women are doing, right? Career, which most women don't have, right? A job, which it's just a slave, it's a wage slave. So this is why modern women are suffering, because through their own devices, okay? Right? They think they want a career, but most women don't. They're not having a career. They just have a job. Most women. But they think, oh, let's jump on the bandwagon and let's promote it. Strong, independent woman. Yeah, they don't realize that the most important thing you can ever do, man or women, is a family. All those causes are triggered by emotions, exactly 100%. And it's one of their emotions to feel needed, to have a purpose. But it's very momentary, right? It's fleeting, right? For Palestine, that's gone, right? Or barely there. For the BLM thing, that's gone. That's barely there, right? All these special movements, all these causes, they're fleeting.
When I talk about sort of the post-war consensus, it's what I'm trying to get across is the dominant pressure in a liberal society is to delay things, delay commitment, detach from people, and to stay permanently available and open. And so I think this explains some of the risk aversion around relationships and commitment, because we believe that the strong independent women and the position that's sort of idolized is being permanently available, sort of suspended in time and in place. And if you step out of that, that's seen as very suspect and vulnerable and dangerous. You have to keep yourself endlessly open to options, basically. And so a lot of people they say, oh, there's so much pressure for women to settle down and to have children. And I've actually argued the opposite, which is that I've always felt the opposite, which is pressure to stay single and suspicion if you commit, especially too young. And I think that's because we've grown up in a liberal culture. And sort of fundamental to liberalism is a suspicion of restraint. And that inevitably becomes a suspicion of relationships, because they impose limits and restraint on people. And so the argument is basically that social media exacerbated all of this, but it's happening in a liberal culture with liberal sort of priors and assumptions that make it unmanageable.
Wow. The paradox then, to tie it back to the political side, is that they don't want constraint, but in moving the locus away from themselves and towards, let's say, more communist parties like the Green Party and far left parties, they actually, it makes sense because they want the state to remove their own agencies. They want to give their agency to the state.
Yeah.
But where it doesn't make sense is those states are totalitarian, or would be. Or perhaps that's just a failure in foresight.
I think what's happened is we undermined the concept of any authority. So in a sort of liberal culture, you say to women, it's bad to have an authority imposing something upon you. And so you need to be free and open. But the thing that I say in the book is that we're never free. There's always an authority, but we've just now shifted the authority. So it might be the government instead of your dad.
Yeah.
Instead of a protective father figure, you might now displace it onto.
Which is quite hilarious, right? So that's modern women in a nutshell, okay? So you're not going to listen and obey your husband, right? You're not going to listen and obey your husband. But what you'll do is listen and obey your boss, another man. That's what you'll do. Makes sense. That is women in a nutshell. I'm not going to listen and obey a boss What I'm going to do is switch it and listen and obey a boss, a male boss, which most of the time makes sense. The person who cares about you, right, cares about your future, cares about your life, cares about your well-being, right? Not because they want to use you, no, because they're in love with you. You're your wife. You're the mother of their child, right? Instead of that, the man that actually cares about your well-being, right, cares about because they love you. No, you're gonna switch it up to give that power to a man that doesn't give a shit about you. He just want to use you. Makes sense.
The government, or instead of a husband, for example.
Or instead of God, if we mentioned the falling religiosity and church attendance.
Basically, any previous form of authority, maybe it would be a religious leader in your community, it's now been replaced. And I often think it's replaced by these influencers or these therapists. They become the new arbiters of right and wrong.
Yes, the therapists. And that's what Abigail Shriver wrote in her book. And you explore a little bit of that in the book. That is pretty concerning. I think you've really got to the nub of it there. There's something I wanted to show you because it ties together some of what we've just talked about, particularly in that interplay between the state and motherlessness and the individual woman. So I'm going to ask our Zoomer producer, Will, who, despite my occasional negative comments about Gen Z, I'm a big fan of this Gen Z. So we just had a by-election in the UK, and Reform UK, the candidate was Matt Goodwin, friend of the show. And on the campaign, he talked about policies to encourage women to have children by removing tax. And this was exactly what they're doing in Hungary, and it's had some results in Hungary.
Yeah.
But I know you haven't seen these. This is on TikTok. It's had over 1 million views, this first one. So we'll play it to you.
So guys, if you now live in the UK and you don't have children, you now may be subject to the no kids tax or the child free tax, of which may be implemented now under a Reform UK government. You see, under this new policy, people who do not have children should pay more tax. You heard that right. Instead of actually helping those or giving benefits to those who have more children, let's penalise those who chose to not go down that financial and mental route. Now, to be specific, Goodwin, a Reform UK candidate, actually proposed this as the negative child benefit tax. And the purpose is quite literally in the name. It's to tax anyone without any offspring and to actually remove personal income tax to any woman with more than 2 children. He frames this to reinforce family values alongside reinforcing the nuclear family. Now, already, don't you think it's very interesting how they surround this entire thing around women, not men and women? It's almost as if they know that this is going to be specifically and disproportionately targeting women.
Because women are the gatekeepers of sex. Women are the gatekeepers of sex. Now, I agree to give benefits to families instead of taxing childless women. I kind of agree, but we also think this is a thing where I think that there's even giving benefits to families doesn't necessarily tackle the issue why women don't want to have kids. Okay? It doesn't necessarily tackle the issue that modern day women don't want to have kids because, again, the keeper of sex and reproduction. Yes, exactly. Snotty slung lips. Yes. But yes, that's the thing where women are more and more women don't want to have kids, which is. It is what it is. I'm not on board with trying to force women to have kids. In my opinion, I've said this before, right? My brothers, get a passport. Get a mother effing passport. Travel the world, right? I would be on board with us as a collective of men. Stop reproducing with Western women. I'm sorry. These women should not be producing the next generation. Get with a woman abroad, right? Get a wife abroad, right? Get a woman that is more conservative mindset. They want a family, they want to be a wife, they want to be a mother. There are plenty of women like that. Okay? In Asian countries, right? Certain Asian countries that are not not affected by feminism. African countries, Caribbean countries, whatever, okay? Get a passport, find a woman outside of the Western world. Because sadly, most women in the Western world has been poisoned by feminism. So my brothers, let these women die out. right? Please don't reproduce with these women. Don't let their poison spread to the next generation. Find a woman outside of your country.
With this tax. And so if you need any more of a reason to vote against this godforsaken party that's actually...
I agree. Liberal white women are disgusting. And they should not, right? They should not be reproducing. They should not. Give women what they want, right? Child free, right? Let them be child free. They want abortion so badly. They want to be child free so badly. Awesome, right? Awesome.
Trying to poison this country, and if you want to respect the autonomy of your own body and not feel pressured to do anything else with it, maybe, just maybe, you should vote against this madness.
Exactly what you said, the idea of autonomy.
Yeah.
And
the language
there, plus, and how it crosses over to the political side. I've got to show you another one, because it's also...
So Reform UK now want to tax women who don't have children.
You could be forced by the state to have children. To every single woman in the UK.
Reform UK's candidate for the by-election in Gorton and Denton, Matt Goodwin, has suggested imposing a negative child benefit tax on women who do not plan to have children. And yes, this is a fucking Handmaid's Tale come to life. This proposal does affect men and women, but it is targeted towards women mainly. If this was ever to be passed, there would be pressure on women to have children when they do not want children in order to financially survive. That's a direct attack on fucking women's rights and human rights. But let's not worry too much about human rights, because Nigel...
Again, I'm not a big supporter of taxing people, right? I'm not. If you watch the start of the stream, I was ranting about being taxed a lot. Yeah, I'm not a big supporter of, let's tax our people more. No. Okay. To be honest, I said it, I agree with giving more benefits to for married couples or, families, right? I also, controversially, right? I think might be controversially, make it easier for men to marry out, right? If a man in your country is going to marry a woman outside the country, make it easier for him to bring her into the country. I think that will be a boom. Stop with the whole thing that we need immigrants, right? Stop with the whole shit that we need immigrants in our country. Stop it, right? What we do need is the men in our country to find wives abroad and make it easy for that man to bring her over, right? Make it easier for that man to sponsor that woman in here. I think that will be a big boom, to the population. I think so. Right? You worry about birth rate declines? Well, let men travel outside of the Western world and find a woman out in another country. Right? I mean, like, controversially, I don't know if you guys know, right? When I went to Vietnam, I have a girlfriend now. I want to start the process. I want to hopefully one day bring her to America, right? That's the thing where, I think I think most men would benefit from that. And again, I'm a proponent of what I say, right? I've told my brothers countless times, get a passport, travel the world, find a woman outside of the West. Find a woman outside of the West. Do not deal with Western women. I'm sorry. I will be a big proponent of it. My brothers, do not deal with Western women. No, to be honest, I have money here, right? I have a house here. I have my stability here. But again, it's how you do it, right? It's how you do it. So, because we're same culture, same languages. So, and I'm in control of my shit. So.
Raj does want to take us out of the European Commission for Human Rights, so don't worry about that, because we won't actually have any human rights if we do vote Reform UK. Now, Matt Goodwin has also suggested that he removes personal income tax for women who have 2 or more children, again, encouraging women to birth offspring that they do not necessarily want in order to be controlled financially. Matt Goodwin also says that he wants to create a pro-family culture in the UK, having a national day to celebrate parenthood. Now, he is proposing that this National Family Day is really special if you have 3 or more.
I'm saying there's a risk, right? There's always a risk of that, but it's how you pick them, right? To be honest, it's how you pick them. I believe women of outside of the Western hemisphere, right? Outside of the Western world, outside of Western ideology, women are more they have a higher percentage of not divorcing, right? I'm not saying divorce is, not like 100% not there, but they're not as likely to divorce.
More children, because you could receive a telegram from the king.
Plus, I'm definitely going to do a prenup. It doesn't even matter who I'm going to be with.
If you didn't know that this lunatic is also a presenter 3 times a week on GB News. Now, if you are considering voting for Reform UK in the next election and you follow my account, then I'm not going to ask you to unfollow me, but I am going to ask that you go back and watch the videos that I've created and you educate yourself.
Quite phenomenal.
I mean, I get it, right? I get it. But my problem is that I don't have any I'll see, right? I'll see what happens. I'm not I'll see what happens because I love America. I love America, and I don't see myself not living in America. So that's my no. Eva Eddie, like seriously, the things you're warning me about, I've been talking about for years. But it's my thing is like I gotta weigh the risk, right? Because I love America. I like Vietnam, but it's like I love America, and I can't see myself not living in America. As much as I hate certain things, I still love America, right? And it's given me so many opportunities. Okay, so I don't know, right? I mean, again, I'm not in a position, right? I'm not like a millionaire where I could definitely live wherever. So we'll see. I mean, I'm still mulling things over, so there's no real rush, but thank you guys.
Specimens there. There's 2 things there. There's the policy itself, which we'll come back to, but it's actually these individuals and the way they're talking.
Yeah.
It's everything you talked about. It's worth just mentioning that Matt Goodwin's not suggesting taxing women without children more. He's saying remove tax from women who have children.
No, but they're saying they'll be forced to give birth.
Yeah.
So that is the...
Okay, I didn't know the specific yet. So removing taxes from women with children. Literally, they're not saying tax women without children more. So it's like see, that is right there. That is the emotion, right? Not logic. So, and if you just listen to those women, you would think, oh my God, they're taxing women. They're just going to tax women without children more. Right? But if you listen, he's saying that that's not true at all. Just saying that they're going to tax women with children less. So, I mean, you're still getting taxed, right? The women with children are still getting taxed with their tax, but they're comparing themselves to the women with children. So you're going to be forced, right? Forced to have children because you don't want to get taxed. No, you could just not have kids and get taxed like you were before.
Again, it's sort of the post-war consensus mindset that any encouragement of anything that could remotely hint at conservatism is being forced, controlled, imposed on you. It's an authority imposing something. Even the mention of The Handmaid's Tale is always The Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah, I should read it, but what is this obsession with that book?
I think it just embodies the how they view.
I don't know anything about it. I mean, like I'm assuming this is a guess, right? Because I don't know anything about The Handmaid's Tale. I'm assuming it's a world where people are forcing women to give birth or controlling women and making them give birth. I don't know. I'm assuming. My friend has a Filipino wife. They have been married for 25 years. She is still very traditional. This again, Red Dwarf. Exactly. Right? I mean, like, yes, it's not impossible, right? It's not impossible that if you get an Asian or a woman in those part of the world, you get divorced. I've heard plenty of it, but it's less likely, right? It's less likely because these women are more family oriented. They're more traditional. Okay. So there's a bit of propaganda, right? There's a bit of propaganda, in our little sphere of the world, right? Oh my God, don't bring these women over here. They're going to be, they're going to be modernized or they're going to be westernized and all this shit. I know plenty of people who went over there, came here. They're not as Americanized as you may think, right? So again, they're Americanized in the sense that they're making money themselves, right? But they're still very family oriented, very traditional.
The caricature of how they view conservatism, which is that it's closed, it's authoritarian, and it's rather than encouraging something natural, which is women having children, and thinking that that's, you know, a wonderful, meaningful thing, it has to be framed as an imposition because, again, having children by its nature is a limit on you, and you come.
Yes, I agree. Risk management is risk assessment is very important. I 100% agree. This is why, guys, right? This is why I say, okay, get a woman that actually wants you. And I believe that, see, this is my thing, right? I'm going to preference, this is my personal thing. I found a woman that wants me for me, okay? Now, hypothetically, maybe she's lying, okay? But that's why I'm not rushing into things. You're figuring things out, right? You're understanding things, right? You're trying to, again, this is why I said the important is be fucking smart. Be smart. Don't be an idiot, right? And I see there's plenty of videos. I see plenty of things. A white man going into Thailand or Cambodia or whatever, right? Finding your little Filipino wife and thinking that, you know, you have it. No, because you're simp, right? You're a doormat. You're spineless. My thing is I'm the leader of this house, right? I'm the leader of this relationship. Plain and simple. I'm not desperate. I'm not desperate for nobody. That's the thing where you got to have a certain kind of mindset too. You got to have a certain kind of mindset when you're going into this. I'm not desperate for nobody. I'm not. Okay. So desperation is not going to control me being with somebody. So again, it's a mindset. And this is why I said I love Redpill, because it helped shape my mind. Now, certain men learn Redpill or whatever, and they still become weak-minded. Now they're aware of certain shit, right? They're aware of, like, you know, the risk or all the craziness of women, but they don't also add, you know, strength to the mindset. And I've said this countless times before, my brothers, strengthen yourself. Be the best version of yourself physically, mentally, and financially. Okay, that's another key tenet of Red Pill ideology is self-improvement. Improve yourself, right? Don't be the soy boy, the fat, lazy, useless, you know, basement dwelling incel. Don't. That's also another thing I'm talking about. Okay, if you're strong physically, mentally, financially, you're in control of your life. You're not desperate. You're not desperate for punani, right? You're not desperate. Oh, I need it. No. See, that's the thing. A lot of men have weaknesses. Okay. I'm not saying I'm perfect, right? Plenty of time I've shown my weaknesses, but still you have it in control, or you have it, you know, it's relatively controlled. That's the thing a lot of us men are lacking.
Up against biological limits and reality. And
I don't even give them my real name. Evil Eddie, you're crazy.
So it's framed as something authoritarian imposed on women rather than, you know, a lot of conservatives just think family is the most important thing. And any attempt for them to encourage family is seen as an attempt to attack and take away the rights, the human rights of women.
It's such a tragedy. Lionel Shire came on the show and she talks about how it's similar to what you're saying. Motherhood has become low prestige. And I do think this goes back to the war, specifically Karl Popper and his open societies. Child-free trends.
So...
Like we just watched there.
Yeah, but sort of the glamorization of a child-free life. So all of these women showing their sort of child-free days where they have ultimate freedom and they can do what they want and they can afford all of these things. So they have double income and they sort of show how amazing that is online. There's one girl who has a viral list of all the negatives of motherhood. There's another one who does a free birth control series where she reacts to horrifying clips of motherhood and toddlers. So she'll find like the absolute worst health outcomes that could happen when you're pregnant or when you have children and share them every day to help young women decide not to have children and to show them how irrational and inconvenient it is. And I wanted to get across in the book, you know, that is so tragic. And it's not just tragic because, you know, every woman needs to have children, but because it's absolutely outrageous that we're teaching young people, men and women, that having a family is an inconvenience or an obstacle to their self-actualization. And something I argue is that that's very often the path to self-actualization is through other people and through family. And I think it's really cruel that that's such a dominant message online and in the spaces where, you know, young women, people laugh at sometimes when I talk about TikToks, but that's where young women are. You know, they're spending hours and hours a day on TikTok and on these platforms. And if this is popular content, it is pretty representative of what they're seeing. And so I just think that's such an outrage that we're teaching young women that it's conservative to want family and to value family above all of this other nonsense, above all the above consuming and working and sort of scrolling alone.
Yeah.
You know, that's sort of what I say in the book is.
I said this right. I think modern day women, Western women, are self-destructive. They want to destroy themselves, destroy the people around them, and destroy society. They are self-destructive. They want the downfall of society. Maybe subconsciously, maybe, maybe not, but they want the destruction of society. This is why you go to a different country, find a woman that isn't as self-destructive. She wants a husband. She wants a family. I said this before. This is the key, right? This is the key thing to why it's different if you find a woman outside of the Western Hemisphere, outside of feminist poisoned culture. Okay, a woman that wants a husband, a woman that desires a family, and that is the that is the thing that we need, right? And that's the importance, right? Someone that values family. Today, modern day women, modern day feminists, they value themselves, right? That's it. The selfishness of feminism. You value yourself. You only care about yourself. You only care about women because it includes yourself. That is it. Women don't give a shit about other women. They don't. I've seen it countless times before. Women don't give a shit about other women. They only care about other women because it includes themselves. So if it benefits them, guess what? It benefits if it benefits everyone else, right? It benefits women. Supposedly it benefits themselves. That is it. Women don't care about other women. I've seen it before. Women are extremely selfish. They are more selfish than ever before.
It's not pressuring young women to have children, but it's showing them what we're doing instead. And it's often very meaningless.
Yeah, well, you write in the book, 31% of liberal teen girls spend more than 5 hours a day on social media compared to 13% of conservative boys. But what you say of finding actualization in the other, that is fundamentally Christian. That is what the teachings of Christ is and if you read scripture, it's absolutely the message, give yourself to the other. And if anyone practices that, it is the most fulfilling thing. It doesn't have to be a family. It doesn't have to be having children. It can be your neighbor. Love your neighbor is the second commandment after love thy God. It's investing in other people, and that is where fulfillment is. So it seems to me this whole ideology that you've described, and I've covered it at some length in the show, this back to post-war and this sort of hyper-individualism is anti-Christian.
Yeah, and that's why I was actually drawn to and curious about Christianity, because I grew up in Essex. I had sort of atheist family. I don't think I actually spoke to a Christian until I was about 23. I just had never encountered it at all. And the reason I was curious about it is because I was so
Exactly. Red door. Exactly. I was talking to somebody, right? She said the best bosses she ever had is a male boss, because he usually supports her. He usually pushes her to do better, to try to get promotions. While she said all the female bosses she's had were competitive against her, right? Would try to, one up her or derail her career. I'm telling you, right? It's like I said, women only care about other women when it benefits themselves. Because I believe feminism, a key tenet, personal opinion, a key tenet of feminism is selfishness. It is selfishness. You gotta care about yourself. You're the only thing that's important. Al Bundy says, don't try to understand women. Women understand women and they hate each other.
For some form of, direction, right and wrong, but also what you just said. I felt that there was so much pressure to self-actualize alone. So to become the perfect product, to optimize yourself, to heal yourself, to do all of this. And I also think this is why women always say, there's so much pressure to settle down and to get married. I think what they're actually talking about is there's so much pressure to cram all your self-actualization in before you do that. And so they're like, there's all this pressure to do it. I'm running out of time. And it's because they're being told, before you have children, you need to heal yourself. You need to be educated. You need to be enlightened. You need to love yourself. You need to be independent. all of these things that actually sometimes you need other people to do. And also it's pretty impossible to do alone and pretty cruel to tell young women because we want to depend on someone and have a teammate in life. And so I really felt that pressure, which was, yeah, you need to become a perfect product before you can take on any responsibility. And then, of course, we don't want to take on the responsibility because we're never healed. We're never the perfect person.
Yeah, wow. And that's never occurred to me. What's strange about seeing the way your book has been received is that you've had a hard time from left-wing media. Now, of course, left-wing media have a tendency to be pretty scummy, but it seems to me reading your book, although not the conversation we've necessarily just had, because as you described, the problems really go back, and the problem is with progressivism and modern liberalism. But reading your book, it seems to me that this could have been a left-wing's dream, because you've got this sort of avaricious social media companies in California, big tech, who are basically abusing our children through their apps, sexualizing them, desocializing them, commodifying them, trying to make them worth money. And this is sort of the anti-capitalist, if it was the dystopian Black Mirror novel, it would be that novel. It would be a left-wing piece for sure. But it's not taken that way. Totally strange to me. And this really is the worst of capitalism, in my opinion, as someone who is a pro-free market. So this is the problems with capitalism, which I'm very happy to have that conversation.
Yeah.
Maybe we should have that, but perhaps we should talk about why you've had this bad time with certain left-wing media.
I think it's because, well, I think if I removed the parts that are considered conservative, so I talk about divorce as a bad thing. I talk about the transgender phenomenon. And
wait, divorce is a bad thing, offends progressives. Is divorce a good thing?
Yes, it offends progressive. It offends feminists, right? You look at like how many feminists were angry when what was it? I think Kentucky, right? Kentucky took away no fault divorces. How I guarantee you, if more states were advocating or pushing no fault divorces, feminists will blow their minds. They will get so angry. They will be so angry. How dare you do no fault divorces? I can't divorce this man for just whatever I feel, right? How dare you? I should be allowed to divorce this man just because I feel it, right? That's insane. That's what women want. How dare you? I must prove why I divorce him, right? I mean, like, are you kidding me? I could only divorce him if he's abusive to me, if he cheats on me. That's the only reasons why. I can't just divorce him because, you know what? I don't love him anymore. The grass is greener on the other side. How dare you? How dare you not allow me to divorce a man that, you know what, I wanted to marry, a man that I was in a relationship with, a man I gave my body to, a man that I gave kids to? How dare you not allow me to divorce said men? So no duh, if you paint a picture that divorce is bad, women will be outraged, particularly leftist women, liberal women, progressive women, Democrat women. They will be outraged. How dare you not allow women to divorce a man on a whim? How dare you? Never sign a contract that rewards the person that breaks it. 100%.
Well, I'm supposed to have a very nuanced take on it, and this is the thing, I'm really hesitant to constantly caveat and disclaimer my writing because I find that it kills good writing. And I think people do it too much, where they have a really strong conviction. And again, I think this is a post-war consensus sort of impulse, which is that you can't have a strong conviction. You have to water it down and dilute it. And so I didn't end.
You know, sometimes I do try to water my convictions down to saying, oh, not all women or and shit like that. But you know what? I may have to change that, right? I may have to change that. I'd have more strength in my convictions and not trying to, put a caveat or a footnote in the things I say because, like, F it. F it.
Caveat. I make a quick caveat at the beginning, this is not all girls and they'll have different experiences. But I don't do whole explanations of some divorces, are necessary. Sometimes it's an extreme case because I have a strong conviction that divorce is bad for children for the most part. And so I think that is taken badly by progressives. So I think...
You know what? Yeah, I'm going to change my conviction. I'm not going to, you know what? F the caveats, right? F the footnotes. I'm not gonna do it anymore. If I'm gonna say shit, I'm gonna say shit. I'm gonna stand behind the things I say. You know, I'm gonna put full all emphasis behind it. Put in saying not all women. F that, right? Whatever, right? I mean, like, if you don't understand that, I don't really need to clarify it.
If I removed some of those things that they would find controversial or conservative, then a lot of progressive people would agree with it, because it does read like a sort of, I guess, anti-capitalist book. But my issue is the social media platforms. But the reason I think the social media platforms are so bad is because we've degraded the foundation for young people. So if they don't,
I'm gonna level up to another very controversial person. So I'm gonna, you know what? F it, right? I mean, I guess that's the freedom of not being so big. I'm not tied down to it. I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna be more, yeah.
don't have community, if they don't have authority or a sense of right and wrong, they'll get destroyed by these platforms because there's nothing to ground them. And actually, Jonathan Haidt talks about this, that Gen Z conservatives have come out pretty well of the whole mental health crisis. Much better, well-adjusted compared to liberal children. And I think it's because they have that grounding. So they have a sense of right and wrong. They're more likely to have a sense of belonging, community, probably believe in something bigger than themselves. And that acts as a protective mechanism online. And I think liberal children don't have that.
Yes, but I don't think anyone, even most conservatives, are going to suggest that enforced religion is the answer to our problems that you've rightly highlighted. You mentioned in passing trans there.
Yeah.
I suppose that being the hot topic that it is still, even though there's all the evidence of how deranged the trans movement is and the damage.
100%. I've been silenced before on it, and I 100% think Transformers are disgusting. I'll be 100% blunt, right? Transformers are honestly a part of our society that needs to be deleted. I'm sorry. It's just another weak point in our society. We have a group of men that think they're women. I'm sorry, you need to be deleted. Right? Women are already useless as can be. Right? Today, women are as useless as can be. Right? So really, men thinking they're women, you're just being more useless. You don't even have the usefulness of being a man. Right? Now you want to be now you want the uselessness of being a woman. So really, since you're useless, you should be deleted. Plain and simple. So and like your mental instability is in question, right? It's not in question. You're absolutely mentally unstable. So really, do we need more mentally unstable men? We don't. We don't need more mentally unstable men. I'm sorry. We have enough weak men. Right? Now you're weak and fucking retarded? Nah, we're good. Let's delete them. I'm sorry. I'm gonna be controversial. We don't need men that think they're women. We don't need them in society. I'm sorry. What's the benefit? What's the benefit of these types of men? Okay? What's the benefit of these types of men? I'm sorry. Yeah.
And evil it does to young people. But that is still a hot topic and it sort of triggers the left wing, you think?
It's interesting though, because I talk about a lot of things that young women are watching online, or sorry, maybe I should say girls are growing up with online, and is then shaping how they are as young women. So I'll talk about sort of social contagions in the beauty world. So seeing lip fillers and rhinoplasties and seeing all of these AI filters and then mimicking them and the Instagram face, that is essentially a social contagion, is that you're watching and mimicking these influences.
Social contagion is a Carl Jung concept, and it's mimetic behavior, which we tend to see with women, which makes sense, as you've already described, but we'll have seen it in, I guess you're applying it to the trans issue now.
Well, I'm applying it to social media. I think social media, if you're going to talk about something like social contagion, that would spread way faster and easier with social media. And the thing I find very confusing is that progressives will read the book and agree with, yes, young women can watch beauty influencers and imitate them and be influenced by them. Yes, they can watch, say, mental health influencers. So someone who says they have a split personality disorder and they can be influenced by that. Or the Tourette's TikTok phenomenon, where you have TikTok influencers having certain tics and young women and girls will pick up those tics and present with the exact same tics as the people they're watching. But then when you say, oh, there's also this whole transgender hashtag on TikTok. There's influencers talking about their surgeries and the hormones and, you know, discussing that. And that might also influence some young women. That is when people say, no, that can't possibly be happening. And I think that's really disingenuous. You know, I'm talking about all sorts of trends online that young women could pick up on. And that's just one of them.
Yes.
But there's certain ones where progressives then think, oh, she's done like a conservative dog whistle. The whole book has to be thrown out now. But it's all part of the same thing, which is that you're exposed to these ideas that
100%. It's a weakness. It's a disease. It's a weakness in our society. I believe that it's just another showing of our weakness. Delete it. Right? Delete it. At the very least, let me say this, right? I'm not like seriously promoting just deleting people. I'm certain people, right? But I'm saying that at least, like, let's just not promote it, right? I should not be seeing Transformers in social media, in you know, movies, TV, any kind of form of entertainment. They should not be promoted in mainstream media, in period. These people, right, are weaknesses. These people are honestly not a good representation of our culture. They should not be promoted. At the very least, I'm not promoting us just out and out and just deleting people, right? I'm not. But at the very least, let's delete their presence, right? Let's delete their presence. We're not actively like trying to, you know, show out retards, right? On, you know, on social media and shit like that. We're not actively trying to show like our disabled people. So why are we showing, you know, disabled grown adults, mentally disabled grown adults?
And become more extreme over time. Yeah. It's the same with everything I talk about in the book.
Well, the transgender phenomenon actually ties very much to the videos we just watched and this Rusty Reno thesis, post-war liberalism, because it is the atomization, and people being so offended about that issue is probably the same way they're offended by the idea that they have to, or that having children
is be open to
it's
being another gender.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything. Yeah.
It's hyper-liberalism.
Yeah, and I think that's, I don't know, there's the thing I don't understand about that is it's just another trend online. And I think sometimes, again, with the child-free stuff, that's another trend online that I'm talking about. And I think anything that's sort of slightly could be coded conservative, people think, oh, you're saying that because you're a conservative. But I do lay out a lot of other trends that conservatives aren't talking about. And I actually think that conservatives should talk more about capitalism and companies and the effect of industries. One of my favorite quotes from Rusty Reno is he says, just because you're troubled by the effect of consumerism on our souls doesn't make you anti-capitalist. The same as if you're troubled by the sexualization of children or pornography doesn't make you anti-pleasure. And that is really, I think, missing in a lot of conservative discussions, is that, you know, I can have some conservative opinions, but I'm not willing to pretend that these companies are completely harmless because I believe in free markets. You know, it can be a complex position.
That's a really good observation. Perhaps not enough is done on the right to call out the problems of the excesses of capitalism. And one of those excesses for me is monopoly power. For me, monopoly power is the same as communist power. It's the same downside effects without a free market. But I did think Adam Smith called out those writing about those things even in the 18th century. So it's been in there, but perhaps more needs to be done perhaps to call out those things. We need to make it easier to criticize.
I think there's just an assumption that if you're talking about companies, you want to restrict freedom and you want to ban things and implement policies. And actually, I don't really talk about the, you know, banning children off social media because I'm very skeptical of the online safety bill and the unintended consequences that might have.
Yeah. So the online safety bill, this was because a 14-year-old called Molly Russell.
I think that's it. I wanted to watch this. I mean, it was a little bit interesting, right? So she had some interesting things. A little bit good things to react to, right? So I thought it was interesting. Guys, thank you for being here, right? Thank you for the love. Thank you for all the support. You guys are amazing, right? You guys are amazing as always. Evil Eddie, I love you, my brother. I love you, right? Thank you for being here. Laughing Man, I love you. Red Door, thank you, my sister. You guys are amazing. I love you guys. I really think you guys are absolutely amazing, right? I love you guys. You guys give me so much support. You guys show me so much love. So, yeah. That's it for tonight. Please check out my other videos. Please Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Yes, please like and subscribe. It helps me out. All right. Please check out my other videos. It's a big plus for me. You guys are amazing. Yeah. Guys. Red Door. Love ya.
Shadows empty air.